Well, I believe, I'm glad you asked that question in a larger sense, instead of quoting the ridiculousness of the Republicans in the Congress. The fact is that we're on a good path at the border under leadership of President Biden. It's about three things. It's about restructuring how we do what is happening there, because we were in a very bad situation under the Trump administration. It's about a refugee plan.
1 year later.
One, we must secure our border.
All right, guys. So Texas Governor Greg Abbott and Ron DeSantis sending migrants to liberal cities and towns like Martha's Vineyard, New York City, Chicago, Washington, D.C. We all know that has freaked out the mainstream liberal media and the Democrat mayors, as it is revealed the hypocrisy of the Democrat Party in the sense that they really don't like illegal immigrants as much as they claim, okay? For as much as they want to call themselves sanctuary cities, okay, they want to act like they are such great people, we're good people, and the GOP, they're bad people, they're racist, they're xenophobes, because we are against illegal immigration. It turns out that when illegal immigrants show up in their backyards, they become even worse than the GOP, because they take no time whatsoever to deport the illegals, right, when they come to their cities, which again is absolutely amazing stuff. And there is one resident of Martha's Vineyard that is particularly upset with the GOP and their immigration policies, and that is former divider-in-chief Barack Obama, whom went on the record at a Latino conference to state that the GOP's immigration policies were grounded in racism.
But I will say that right now, the biggest fuel behind the Republican agenda is related to immigration and the fear that somehow America's character is going to be changed if people of darker shades, there are too many of them here.
Yeah, so this is coming from a guy who forcibly removed, aka deported, more than 3 million illegal immigrants from this country, sent them back to Mexico, which is more than Bill Clinton and George W. Bush, his two predecessors. They didn't even come close to reaching the amount of illegal immigrants that Obama deported in their 2 terms. Okay? This guy was dubbed the deporter-in-chief, not by the right, but by the left, for his immigration policies. And now this guy thinks he's so high and mighty, he's now at a conference calling GOP immigration policies racist, when again, this guy has deported more illegal immigrants than basically any other president in American history. Okay, so if that is the case, then I guess you're the racist, right? You must be the racist. But you don't only have Obama here, who is doing things that the left may define as racist, or saying things that the left may define as racist as well about illegal immigrants, as Nancy Pelosi had a moment of truth, okay, when discussing immigration reform, because now Democrats actually want to go to the table and allegedly address the border because of this stunt from Greg Abbott and Ron DeSantis sending illegal immigrants to liberal cities and towns. She is, again, advocating for immigration reform, in which she says one of the reasons why we need illegal immigrants here is to pick our crops, right? No, she literally said we need migrants to come over here to pick our crops. Take a look.
One, we must secure our border. 2, we have a moral responsibility to accept refugees. And 3, our nation is great because we are a nation of immigrants. But don't take it from me. Listen to Ronald Reagan. When I quote Ronald Reagan to my Republican colleagues, he doesn't get any applause. Can you imagine that? Not even Ronald Reagan, who has really said America is preeminent in the world because we have a constant flow of newcomers to our country. And when we close the door, we will be diminishing our preeminence in the world. Don't take it from me. Go to Google, look up President Reagan's last speech as President of the United States. This is the last speech I will make as President of the United States, and I want to communicate a message to a country that I love. and go from there. The fact is that we have a responsibility to secure our border. We also have a responsibility to recognize the importance of newcomers to our nation. Right now, the best thing that we can do for our economy is to have comprehensive immigration reform. We have a shortage of workers in our country, and you see even in Florida, some of the farmers and the growers saying, why are you shipping these immigrants up north? We need them to pick the crops down here. But that doesn't mean that we don't recognize our moral responsibility as well. When the president, the former, occasional occupant of the White House.
Yeah, so Nancy Pelosi and her Trump derangement syndrome is showing very heavily there. As she says the quiet part out loud about why Democrats claim they love illegals so much. And it goes along with exactly what I've been telling you guys for a long, long time about Democrats and their grand plan. Basically what she's saying is that, hey, we don't need to be shipping migrants from southern states to northern states, right? We don't need to ship them from red states to these, northern blue states. Well, the reason why is because we need them to pick our crops, right? We need them to pick our crops. So we want the illegals to stay in the red states, right? And then they can establish a life. They can have kids. Those kids will be able to vote. And then they will vote Democrat because we'll just turn around and call the GOP racist. Even though we really don't want the illegals here, right? We don't want the illegals here in our states, okay? We don't want you around us, okay? We don't want you taking jobs away from our people. What we want is you to take jobs away from people in red states, and we want you to stay there, have kids, so they vote Democrat, and then eventually we'll try to give you amnesty, right? We'll try to give you amnesty, make your path to citizenship a lot easier, and then you can vote for us even more, right? Again, that is the Democrat plan and strategy. That is the overarching plan. It is what it is. That is the truth. And ain't it funny how history repeats itself, guys? Right? The party that claimed to have switched, okay, there was a magical switch between the Democrat and Republican Party. What the Democrats are inadvertently arguing here, guys, is that, hey, we need to keep our slave labor, okay? Because a lot of these undocumented migrants, aka illegal immigrants, are working under the table. They're working for less than minimum wage. They're out in the hot sun picking crops, again, with no benefits, right? Sweat labor, okay? That is what the Democrats are advocating for. And we all know that the Democrats have a history of getting upset when they lose their cheap labor. Like how upset they got when they lost the Civil War. They lost their cheap labor, aka their slaves, right? Their slaves stopped picking cotton for them, okay? This is the most upset they've been since then. Because again, Democrats hate losing their slave labor, right? They hate it. They can't stand it. So with that being said, again, it's funny to me how the party that always wants to call the GOP racist for our immigration policies inadvertently has shown us that their reasonings behind immigration is racist and that they really don't like illegals living around them. Because again, they don't like the so-called black and brown people that they claim they love so much. They don't like when they live in their cities, right? Around their children in their neighborhoods. They don't like that. They don't like that. Guys, could you imagine if a GOP congressman came out here and said that we need more black and brown people in this country so they can pick our crops, right? Could you imagine the backlash? Could you imagine the accusations of racism that would be hurled from the left? You would never hear the end of it, right? But again, Nancy Pelosi can just go out here and say the quiet part out loud about why the Democrats want illegals here, not to live with them, right? Not to be in their vicinity. We already know that they don't want them around them. No. We want them to be here to pick our crops and to live in red states as far away from us as possible, but we benefit from it, right? We benefit from it because we get the cheap food, okay? We get the cheap food and we don't have to deal with the illegals. And we also can call the red states that, hey, are against this racist. Again, it's absolutely amazing how this works. It's absolutely amazing how this works from the Democrat Party. But even though Nancy Pelosi says that they allegedly want to secure the border and they want immigration reform, I wouldn't expect anything to happen, right? I wouldn't get my hopes up because let's be real. Democrats don't want to secure the border, and Republicans at the national level, put it that way, don't want to secure the border either. And the reason why is because of exactly what Nancy Pelosi just stated. Cheap labor, right? And continuing to leave the border the way it is with no immigration reform, no actual legislation that addresses the issue, means that both parties can continue to take advantage of the benefit of having open borders, which to big business is cheap labor, and to the politicians is just a political punching bag in the sense that both parties, again, they benefit from the borders being open. The Republicans, in the sense that they can just blame the Democrats and say the Democrats are the reason why the border is open, okay, while not really needing to do anything about it because, again, they can just use it to attack Democrats. Just keep blaming them, right? The worse the problem gets, the better for the Republicans, right? And the Democrats, they can use the Republicans' alleged opposition to the border being open as a way to attack Republicans as racist. Well, the Republicans want to close the border, so therefore they're racist, right? Now, both parties, at least the elites in those parties, again, I'm talking about the national level parties here, not necessarily state level parties that actually deal with this stuff. Again, they don't have to deal with the consequences, the negative consequences of illegal immigration, right? So again, it's all upside for big business and the politicians, and all the downsides are experienced by the people in these states that happen to reside in these border towns that are forced to deal with this problem while at the same time being called racist for sending the migrants to parts of the country that claim that they love them, but they actually really don't love them, right? So again, let me know what you guys think. Make sure you like, comment, and subscribe. Most importantly, share a Black conservative perspective. Peace.